There you go. All right, cool. Cool. Well, thank you guys again for jumping on. We really appreciate it. So, gonna run through a slide deck just to talk about a couple of things based on what we've learned and just kind of give you a lay of the land. So we're going to talk about the Dynamics 365 platform and licensing, just kind of an overview, high level of CRM as it relates to functionality around CRM for sales and marketing. Do a brief overview as well. We have a slide around Power BI, that's our business intelligence reporting tool. And then Eric will jump into the CRM demo itself around sales and marketing. And then we'll block out some time at the end for Q&A and talk about next steps.
That sounds great.
Cool. So just to give you guys kind of a lay of the land, and you may already be familiar with this, but we always like to kind of distinguish how each of the different business units break out within one another. So Eric and I are part of the business solutions side of Cargus, so that's the Microsoft partner reseller side. So we resell 2 ERP platforms, one of which is Dynamics Great Plains, the other is Dynamics 365 Business Central. Obviously, we also sell and implement Microsoft Dynamics CRM, and we also do some custom developments and solutions. The second business unit of our business is Cargus Energy. As you guys are aware, that's our full vertical ERP product for fuel delivery, home heating, oil, and HVAC companies. And then our third business unit is another reseller business unit. We are a partner with Sage, so we resell the Sage Intact product, which is a cloud-based accounting software system that a lot of finance professionals use. But just to give you an overview of Cargus from a product standpoint.
Understood. Cool.
Yeah, and just an important note there, some of our energy customers identify with us as an energy software company, which makes complete sense because we are. But we've also been implementing CRM since the early 2000s. So that business actually predated our energy business. So we've been doing this part of the business a long time and really starting to gain some ground on the energy CRM side of things.
Yep.
Yeah. Great.
So this is what we call our Microsoft Dynamics 365 Infinity slide. It kind of, and I won't go through all of these, but it kind of just gives you the lay of the land as to how different applications and different products within that Microsoft Dynamics family can kind of flow with one another as part of like a seamless integration. So obviously you have the different applications that live within CRM, including sales, customer service, field service, marketing, project service, automation, etc. You have the cloud-based ERP platform in Business Central that also has a natural integration with CRM. Power BI on the right-hand side, the business intelligence tool, which I'll talk a little bit more about. And then on the left-hand side, you have Office 365. So I talked to Jackie about some of the natural integrations if you're using O365 that can live with Dynamics and Outlook as far as being able to track emails from Outlook to CRM, being able to synchronize calendars from Outlook to CRM, and also being able to integrate with other products such as OneNote. The other thing I would mention is Microsoft purchased LinkedIn a couple years ago, so there is a natural integration if you guys were to go with the Sales Enterprise license with LinkedIn Sales Navigator. So just a couple important things to note here and kind of how all these different applications can kind of flow together to make more of a unified solution.
Understood.
Sorry?
You're fine. So this is the licensing breakdown. I went through it with Jackie, but I'm sure for you, Des and Brianna, this is probably going to be pretty helpful as far as just evaluating where you think people in your company would live as far as licensing. So the first licensing is the customer engagement license. That's $115 per user per month. That's a package plan that covers multiple subscriptions. So we talked about those individual applications such as sales, such as marketing, field service, project service, automation, etc. If you guys were to have somebody that would need to use the sales application and another application such as marketing, they would be in that $115 per user per month license. And the reason Microsoft did that is normally each application is $95 standalone for a license. but Microsoft said, well, rather than making you pay, $190 for 2 applications, we just bundle it into this $115. So that's where the customer engagement comes from. The next one is the sales enterprise license. That's $95 per user per month. That's a very heavy sales user license. It has, again, the natural integration with LinkedIn Sales Navigator. You have a very high level amount of workflows and customizations that you can utilize with that license. So that's the sales enterprise license. The third license is sales professional. That's $65 per user per month. Again, a very heavy sales level license, but you don't have that natural integration with LinkedIn Sales Navigator, and you are limited to the amount of workflows and customizations that you would have in that license. I think it's 9. And then the last license is the team member license, team member user license. That's $8 per user per month. That's basically a read-only license. So let's say you have an administrator, maybe you, Des, or somebody else that needs to be able to go into the system to view data, look at pipeline reports, things like that, but they don't necessarily need to input any data in themselves. They just need to be able to access the information. They'd be in that team member license, and that's $8 per user per month. So that's kind of the licensing in a nutshell, but does that kind of help just from an understanding perspective, kind of help you visualize maybe where you would see some of your users in the system from a licensing perspective?
Yeah, it certainly does. And I'm
Okay.
just kind of comparing it against where we're at right now with our sugar licensing. I think we're paying about $500 a month all in, and
Okay.
we're able to add as many users as we'd like at this at this point. But we'd have to really dive deep to see where that user count would be and where they would fit into each of these buckets, if you would,
Right.
to get a better idea.
Question. It sounds like that's like an all-in $500 for as many users, all-you-can-eat kind of thing.
Yeah.
How many users do you expect to have beyond? Let's forget about definitions of who they are and what level they would be. Just like how many people would be accessing or utilizing CRM?
Okay, so we got our tri-state sales team, and that has about 5 guys there. Bree, are you familiar with all our salesmen yet? Have you?
Yeah, so I actually just recently made a list. So we have 1, 2, 3, 7 currently salesmen with CES. And then we have
Hi guys,
7.
sorry I'm late.
Hey, Jackie.
No worries. Hi, Jackie.
Hey, Jackie,
Yeah.
how's it going?
Good. Sorry I'm late.
It's okay.
And then 7 with Tri-State.
Okay. So about 7 and 7 for 2 companies. So you're looking at 14 aside from administration. All right. So we're looking at probably closer to the 16 mark, 18 mark, somewhere in there, off the top of the skull here with regards to who else would need access in the customer engagement plan kind of thing, which would be a Bree, right? Which would be Jackie would have to have a license as well. So
Right.
14, 15, 16. Me as an administrator, you'll have to see where that fits. All right.
Yep. Yeah, and then the big question or decision would be sales enterprise or sales professional.
Right.
For that many users, I guess we'll see. Complexity tends to go up with more users and more. What was that?
I'm sorry.
There's a PA system. So
Oh, I was confused. No, I was going to say the more users, and it sounds like there's 2 different kind of potential types of users, or maybe even different types of sales teams that might follow different processes.
2 divisions. Yeah, just two divisions of the organization. The bulk CO2 business, Tri-State, and then, Combined Energy Services, which is the oil and gas piece.
Got it. They might follow different sales processes. You might decide that they follow similar sales processes. We could manage either, and that's not a problem. So I guess that's kind of a to be determined, but it's helpful to understand, and maybe we can make that a little bit more relevant for you then. Thank you. Great. All right.
Just a couple more slides, I think. There's
You're
like
fine.
3 or 4. So this is just kind of giving you guys, obviously Eric's going to jump into the demo then, but a screenshot of what the interface looks like within Dynamics 365 CRM for sales. So just kind of reiterating what we've talked about in previous conversations, it's a sales platform for managing leads, contacts, accounts, and opportunities, and we'll talk about what all of those mean in context as it relates to Dynamics. It's a forward-looking sales management tool that allows you to more accurately predict sales results, and there's a fluid interaction from Outlook and other Microsoft products, which I just touched on, such as OneNote, as well as Outlook.
It sounds like currently it's just the lead coordinator that was actually using Sugar. Has any of the sales team adopted Sugar?
Yes, they have. So Tri-State is supposedly in there more often and doing their entry with leads and contacts and so forth. The CS side of things, not as much. I think only a couple of guys may be utilizing it, like a Paul Checker. And who else am I thinking about there, Jackie? Is Jay in there as well?
Jay was in there. I know Devin Wyant had said that he had tried using it as well.
Okay.
And
but whether they follow through using it is another story. So that's been our big hurdle here too, is that, you know, we want to look at this product because it's going to be a lot more seamless and manage the process from start to finish a lot smoother, right? But we need all hands on deck with the sales team, and that's going to be a bit of a hurdle for us because we have some players here that are just, you know, just not as computer savvy, not as willing to adopt new business practice, that sort of thing. So, you know, that's our hurdle to deal with, but that's also going to basically hinge on whether or not we can make a move and justify the expense, right? Because, you know, we've done this before in the past. You buy into a business tool, you implement it, you roll it out, people start using it, and then, you know, if you don't babysit or follow up, things fall by the wayside, you know? And I think that happens to a lot of organizations, but unfortunately we suffer from that, you know, quite a bit, you know? So, but this is definitely worth looking at to see if we could get everybody on board and in the right direction.
Yeah, and I don't mean to belabor before we get into the demo here, but also, how did is a CSR a role within your organization? And if so, what is their interaction in the lead process, if any?
Basically, the CSRs would capture potential leads and just shoot off an email to the sales team. Whether they pick a salesman directly or they email Jackie, and Jackie filters that out to a salesman. In the past, we had someone else in the seat, it was Ginny, which is Bree's position now. Brianna basically replaced what Ginny does, and she in the past had received those requests from the CSRs and then divvied them out to the sales team.
One of the things that I discussed with Brandon in an earlier conversation was that I want to say fairly often we'll have somebody call in that says, I never received a phone call, an email, a quote. And we had talked about the ability for the CSRs to maybe look over at the information that's going to be held in Dynamics. I'm not sure of a price point for that, but to be able to look over at it and say, Mrs. Smith, I see in the notes that Moose called you at 201-362-1075. Oh, and the note says that your mailbox is full. And he followed up with an email, and it went to mrssmith@aol.com. Is that the correct email? Oh, no, it should have a 5 after Smith. Okay, we'll fix that and get that email back out.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. That's great.
Jackie. That's the $8 a seat person, Jackie. So that's the team lead view $8 a seat package. I think that's something we would definitely explore. But we may be limited to how many, right? So if we were to adopt something like this, I could already see the expenses going to go from 500 to probably 1,500 quick a month, right? Which is all good and well if we gain the benefit. And you know, if we gain benefit from it and we get everybody on board and they're going to follow suit all the way through to the end, then God bless it. It might be warranted to have this streamlined, and we'll get more out of it, right? We'll probably land more accounts and have far more efficiencies. But I don't see that we'll be able to swing every CSR at $8 a butt to have access to view it. So we might have to kind of like look, think that through and see how many we could get on board, as an additional expense.
Understood.
And we should point out too that sales professional license is pretty robust. So
Okay.
it may be that the sales enterprise isn't necessary, or perhaps financially it just makes sense to first consider sales professional. And now you're making a jump from 5 to 9,000 instead of a jump of 500 to 900 instead of a jump from 500 to 1,500 or something like that. So that might be worth thinking about too.
100%, Eric. Yeah, as we dive in deeper, we'll see the needs there. That's a good point.
Yep.
You see our point. It's just got to be worthwhile at the end of the day. I hate, to throw money at stuff that we just don't fully utilize, right? So, that's just the only fear. But I'd like to get over that, and hopefully we can get everybody in line and adopt something that makes perfect sense for the organization.
Cool.
Totally understandable. And we're hoping to provide that value to you guys today, just being able to go through the demo. One of the other things I wanted to touch on was marketing automation. So Jackie and I talked at large about what you guys are doing right now from a digital marketing perspective, that what you're doing in ThriveHive, some of what you're doing in Constant Contact, etc. I talked about a tool called Click Dimensions that's actually natively integrated with Dynamics 365. And we do have connections with Click Dimensions. So if you guys would ever want a separate demo of Click Dimensions, we could certainly provide that to you. But just giving you kind of a high-level overview, some of the things you can do with it include email marketing, event management, automated campaigns, and surveys. So you guys send out a survey, somebody gives you a 5 out of 5 rating for great service. It automatically triggers a response thanking the customer and asking them if they... What's that?
No, that was the page again.
Oh,
I'm sorry, Gabby.
You're fine. We're just getting used to it. You're fine.
I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing anything. Yeah.
Cool.
So if you get a really positive survey response, it would automatically trigger an email. Thank you for the great review of the survey. We'd love to have you guys be a testimonial for us. And if it was a negative survey, maybe it would trigger an email response to one of your customer service people saying, hey, Joe wasn't happy about his experience with us. Can you reach out to him? Things like that, as well as lead scoring. So we recommend Click Dimensions, but if you guys want to delve even to a deeper level than that, which obviously does come with more financial costs, but in the future, but if you guys are looking at a digital marketing platform as phase 2, there's also Marketo in addition to Click Dimensions that kind of goes into more functionality as far as what you guys want to do from a digital marketing perspective.
And to go the other direction too, Constant Contact is integrated with Dynamics, or we can integrate Constant Contact with Dynamics, which would help connect kind of what emails and offers and marketing things are going out to your customers, and your sales team be able to see those offers inside of CRM. So just another thing there.
Cool.
And then just wanted to talk about Power BI briefly as well. So it's a business intelligence tool when and where you need it. It's natively integrated with your CRM application and data. It also integrates naturally with Business Central, the Dynamics ERP product. So you can use the embedded Power BI analytics right out of the box, or you can create custom reports that links to business data. So you guys can build pretty detailed reports, but it's pretty simple to set up. And all of those reports are updated in real time. And again, it's automatically embedded into CRM. So you wouldn't need to pay for an integration between Power BI and CRM. It would just automatically happen.
Cool.
And then I think one more slide after this, and then the demo agendas. So one of the things we had talked about that Jackie had expressed interest in as well is building marketing campaigns campaigns. So we created a marketing campaign list for all of our energy customers, and we've sold this to quite a few through Dynamics. So being able to build campaigns around, and we would have 7, and we would let the energy customer pick 5 out of 7, and we would create those. Some of them are will call to automatic, converting to budget, service contract add-ons, equipment sales, etc. But that was one thing that when Jackie and I had talked about it, she said that you guys may be interested in adopting as well.
Sure, absolutely.
And then
Great.
the last slide I had before the demo agenda, and I don't know if Eric wants to touch on that or just go right into the demo after this, but this is the standard integration review. I think I've sent this to you guys before, but just understanding how information in Cargus Energy from the CSR perspective can flow over into CRM and vice versa. So notes is really the important piece in this. The notes feature is the two-way integration that exists in Cargus Energy as well as Dynamics CRM. And again, this is something Eric will touch on in the demo, but just wanted to kind of give you a visual of what fields flow to each system as part of that integration.
Well, so without further ado, sorry that we were picking up information as we went, but walk through the demo with you guys. Let's do a high level kind of how the system works, show you dashboards, walk through the integration and the 3 things that it does, show you how it integrates with Office 365. So for you guys, having sales staff that maybe is a little reticent to use CRM, I think that Office 365 integration is really powerful because it almost becomes another UI that they're already used to. So they're used to emailing, they're used to kind of communicating from their email client. So the ability to interact with CRM from their email client can be a really useful tool specifically for customers who have members of their team that maybe aren't as comfortable with technology. Lead to opportunity management, advanced find and how that helps you build reports. And then we'll spend a little bit of time talking about the marketing campaigns if we can get there. Cool. All right. So let me close this. All right. So I'm going to start at a dashboard here. So what you're seeing here is basically a dashboard inside of CRM. And this data that you see here is all data that's surfaced from the Cargus Energy integration. So the CRM system knows about data from Cargus Energy and it's able to report on that. So you see Cargus active customers added over the last 2 years, service contracts, active customers from Cargus Energy. We don't actually have any deliveries in the demo data, but that data from Cargus Energy could be pulled over and used as a report. So just dashboards in general are a place where end users go to see the things that they use on a regular basis. So in this case, it's kind of reports that help you monitor progress or what's going on in the business. But it could also be more like a to-do list. So it could be more like, so the sales dashboard is a good example of, these are more action-oriented kind of things. So you could go to this dashboard and say like, oh, look, these are all the activities I have to do today. Here's all my active accounts that I've been working with. Here's the open opportunities. So here's my sales opportunities I'm talking to. Here's the leads that came in. And you see I entered Jackie here as a lead. And then here are my top customers by revenue. So this is an out-of-the-box dashboard that's been created. So something, go ahead. Was there a question?
That was just a cough. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah, no problem. So these dashboards are the things that kind of come out of the box. But then you'll see here, down here, and I'll show you how to build them in another step of the demo. But you can also build your own. So anything that you want to know about your customers, about your opportunities, about your activities and your leads, you can build your own dashboard and customize it. So there's all these up here are kind of pre-configured system dashboards. And then down here, when you build your own dashboard, it will come up down here, and then you can kind of know anything you want to know. So that's the place. It's almost like the home base for individuals when they're utilizing CRM. And what you might want in there would be different by role. So the marketing person would want to know more about active campaigns going on, leads out there, anything that they're working on from a marketing perspective, whereas the sales team is going to want to know more about, are they on goal? How are their current opportunities performing? What meetings do I have today? That kind of stuff. So through our implementation process, we can build a couple of these dashboards based on the roles for you, and you certainly have the ability to build them on your own. Any questions about that part?
No.
Okay, makes sense. Good. Yep. So that's kind of the first part. So talking about how a lead comes into the system. So walking you through, lead from your website or call into your CSRs and how that might get over to CRM. So there's actually a tool we can use to help you build web forms that will pass that data directly from your website into the CRM system. So you could have somebody fill out a form on your website, or you could have the CSR fill out that form. And then it'll automatically pass that data right into the CRM. Another step it could do is you could create something called a workflow inside of CRM, that when that new lead is created, it'll pass that lead to Bree. Bree, yes, is that right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Great. Pass that lead directly to Bree, create a task for her to follow up with that lead directly from that form. So when you talk about making it a little bit more seamless and easy to communicate among your team, you had mentioned kind of the CSRs and maybe even leads coming in from the website. They wouldn't even really need to be licensed in CRM, the CSRs, to fill out that web form and generate a lead in the system. So just something to think about. We could think about integrating like a web form that they'd be able to use both for internal use, but also for your customers from your website. I went out to your website, saw that you already have a lead form on your website, so we could build something similar that would be integrated directly with the system. So now we go through. And just to give you some idea, some of the other things you can do, you can search. So I'm going to try and find. I'll just search for Joe because I think that's probably something that comes up a bunch. So when you search for Joe, you'll see all the accounts that are named for Joe, all the contacts in the system that is Joe or some version of Joe, and then leads to Joe, and then opportunities that are Joe. So you'll see any of those things come up in any of the entities within the system. So that's a pretty powerful search. Anything that's in there, you can find that way. If you'd rather just focus, I only want to see the contacts that are Joe, I can do that, and then it'll just bring up the contacts that are Joe. Search functionality inside of Dynamics is really powerful, really good way to kind of find things. This recently viewed items, here's all the things we've just kind of been walking through. Des, I actually realized when we demoed for you in December, we actually entered you in. That's typically what we do. So we were in there looking around. So here's a lead that we were in recently, just looking at. Here's the sales dashboard we were just in. So if I want to make sure that I know I'm going to talk to Des later this week or next week, and that's something ongoing, you can pin that record, and now it just shows up here at the top as somebody that you want to follow up with regularly. So that's a good way to kind of highlight somebody that you're going to be working with on a regular basis. So when I come back to that recents, it'll just be sitting right there waiting for me. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's an ease of use thing. Just because I'm actually gonna end up using Jackie as an example here, I'm gonna put that one up there as well. So I'm gonna pin Jackie as well. So then this is basically a quick create button. So this plus sign right here that I'm over. So you can, basically the idea behind this is instead of filling out this whole lead form or any of the entity forms, see there's a lot of fields that you have to fill out to enter a new lead. It's really trying to, so if I go to new lead with this quick form, it only really requires me to fill out this field, this field, this field. So this is like somebody is on the phone with somebody and just wants to get the lead into the system really quickly. It's meant to just kind of make it easier for somebody to get a lead in very quickly. So it's a streamlined form that they have to fill out, and they don't have to fill out all the fields. And actually, through our implementation, if you want this quick lead form to just be, 5 fields, because you really want to limit it, we could do that too. So it's really just meant to get data into the system quickly and not kind of make it too complex so that people don't use it. So that's something that I use all the time.
So you already answered the question, but obviously you would want to like mandate the phone number or maybe email, right, on a quick lead creation. But this will be configurable for us, you said, right?
100%. Yeah. So you're seeing in this form, there's actually only two. There's actually only 2 required. It's this red asterisk and this red asterisk. You could make this form whatever fields you want, and you could also require whatever fields inside of this form that you want. So it could be 8 fields and 3 of them are required or something like that.
Very cool.
And then the final thing, and this is how you create those dashboard reports, is this advanced find tool. So when you click on this advanced find, it actually brings up, give it a second here. So this is the way that you create reports. So if I want to find all my current customers that are active, so I'll open up all accounts. So I'll run a report. So I'll hit this results button right here, and I'll run a report for all accounts. So this is 207 records in the system, right? So actually what I wanted to find was, I'm gonna break that down further. So I'm gonna go back to that advanced find. I want to find all accounts with address, city, address 1, the city right there, equals Millersville. So I only really want to see the accounts in Millersville. So when I do that, you see it breaks it down into 11 of those 207 accounts. So if I wanted to create this and now I want to say, okay, that's great. Those are my Millersville accounts. I'm going to save that. I'm going to save that view, and I'm going to call it Millersville accounts and save. So now when I go back to, sorry, I'm trying to find where that screen is. So when I go back to those dashboard screens, let's say I wanted to create a new dashboard. Just do one of these. Add in a list. So it shows up right there. Millersville accounts, that's the one I just created. So when I add that, I'll add it. I'll save. Oh, I do that all the time.
Is this Eric or Brandon?
This is Eric.
Oh, Eric. Okay, I just wasn't sure who is actually demoing at this point. Sorry, bud.
Yeah, no problem.
That's pretty impressive. I was just going to say, Jackie, you must be tickled pink to think that you could query right down to a set area for a marketing campaign, right? So granular in a matter of seconds. That's like
it's absolutely amazing. Absolutely.
Yeah, I love it.
So we want to target Dingman's in Milford, and just Dingman's in Milford, or we want to target, Middletown. It's really pretty impressive.
I have a question about the report.
Oh, go for it.
Are you able, so let's say Des creates a report. Am I able to access the report that he created?
Yes. So you could actually, 2 things. So typically what we do as part of the implementation is we'd create kind of a standard dashboard for your sales team and a standard dashboard for your marketing team, and we'll decide, how many of those dashboards we might create as part of the implementation. But to your more direct point, then Des could share, a specific report that he ran. We actually did it this morning with another report we were trying to use across the team, and just share it to somebody else, and then it just becomes available in that individual's My Dashboards list here. And then when you go in, it'll be available there. Actually, not the My Dashboards, I apologize. So that was an account view. So it would show up here. In this case, Millersville Accounts is the one I just created. If I shared that with you, it would show up in your views there. And you could also add it to a dashboard if you wanted to.
Okay.
So yes.
So the creator needs to share.
Right. They do, unless you set privileges in a way that everybody can see all of that gets a little cumbersome, because then every time somebody creates a new view, it'll show up in your view. So typically, yeah, you'd want them to share it with other people.
Yeah, rather than getting, I could be in there playing around and create a ton of, micromanaged little views, and everybody doesn't want to see that. So it would be better to be able to just, hey, Brianna, you want to take a look at this? Here you go. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, that's the point. Yep. So you could make it that all of them are available, but probably the better way, you'd want to steward which reports make sense versus which ones don't make sense for other people, through the share feature. We mentioned, by city, but you could, of course, do that by multiple zip codes if you're targeting a specific area, if your sales team works that way, so on and so forth. And even from a marketing perspective, you could pull together certain areas. And the nice thing about those is those are dynamic. So when you pull those reports and you start that marketing automation that Brandon was talking about, you could set it so that when new leads are added, that they just get added to a specific campaign based on where their zip code is. And that report basically is always building. So when I get 3 more leads in Millersville,
it's very similar to what I do with setting up my constant contact groups. When I send out an email newsletter, if somebody clicks on a generator article, they go into a generator, mailing list. It's basically the same thing.
Yep. And that's where that whole thing that Brandon was talking about here comes into play. So all of these will call to automatic, converting to budget. All of those reports are reports that became available because of the integration to Cargus Energy. Because that data lives over in Cargus Energy, you're now able to do marketing campaigns about your customers that relies on data from Cargus Energy. Otherwise, that data wouldn't even be in the system to do those reports and do those campaigns. So that's what that's about. So that's a good start. So I'll actually take you in now. So that's the reporting capabilities. Does that all make sense? Were there any questions beyond kind of what I did show?
Nope.
Cool.
So far, so good.
So I'm going to jump into a lead, and I put Jackie in there. Jackie, how do you pronounce your last name?
Tooney.
Tooney. I was going to say I was making it harder than it was, but I wouldn't have pronounced it right. So you see here.
Let's hear the pronunciation.
The one I was going to do? I think I was just going to say tune.
Tune.
Yeah, and
okay.
that's what I get a lot. That's what I get a lot.
I wasn't too far off.
Tooney.
Yep, got it. So when you go through here on a lead, so you enter. I've done the hard work already of entering some of the data, so you don't have to watch me enter data. But you enter first, last name, what product or topic, phone number, email address. The company is typically, and you'll see what this drives, but if it's not a B2B sale, so it's kind of like a consumer-driven sale, it's an individual, the company is typically the individual, and that actually drives the account inside of CRM. So this is the lead. So this is just the name of the individual that called, and the company or account is really also the person that called. Little nuance when you're using kind of when you have customers who are actually individuals, not businesses. And then you have over here activities. So I'll add a task here. Follow up with Jackie about delivery times. And I'll make that due today, so you can see it on the activity list. So right here is where those activities will show up when you create those activities. And for your sales team, when they're actually kind of setting their day, go over here to the activities tab. You'll see today or earlier, and you see right here, follow up with Jackie about delivery time. So that's what they use to kind of run their day. So when your sales team is really doing a good job of utilizing CRM, this list will be small, and they also will be kind of depending on this this activities area to kind of, well, what do I have to do today? What activities did I set for myself to follow up with people today, and be able to jump right into those activities and do them and kind of walk their way through them. So that becomes a place where people go in the sales environment to really kind of figure out what do I have scheduled for myself, basically. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I haven't mentioned it, but this is a good place to mention it. I'm going to, if you give me a second here, I'm going to pull over my Outlook into this screen so you can see this. Grab the other. So the reason I bring this over, we were talking about the idea that your salespeople are they've been kind of reticent to use sugar, and you really try and make it easier for them and maybe use interfaces that make more sense to them and places that they would normally be. So starting with Outlook, there's a little Dynamics app that you can install directly inside of Outlook that allows you to look into CRM and do interactions within CRM, and also track emails and track meetings and all different kinds of things directly from your inbox inside of Outlook. So instead of having the cumbersome, like, oh, I went and emailed somebody and now I got to go record that over in CRM, you see right here, I'll close this. So right inside of the email is a little Dynamics 365 button. And when I click on it, it'll log me into Dynamics, and it'll say, oh yeah, I know Tom. Tom works at Systematic Financial Management. You have an opportunity open with Tom. You could go look at that opportunity if you wanted to. Directly within CRM, or directly within your Outlook. So you can see what stage of the process you're in with that customer. So it automatically recognizes, based on the email address of that individual, that person already exists in CRM and you've already talked to them. Here's their phone number. If you have VoIP, you could call them directly from this. So you can just click on this telephone button and it would initiate a phone call directly to that person. And this email specifically hasn't been tracked yet in our CRM, but if I want to start tracking this email, I can track it directly to the account, to the opportunity, or to the individual. I'm going to track it to the individual, so I'm going to set regarding, and basically that will now track that email and any other emails that come in through that thread directly to CRM without you having to do anything. So when you get a contract back from a customer and you want to make sure that that shows up in CRM, all you have to do is track that email directly back to CRM. Make sense?
Will it retro track if it's in your, if it's connected to your Outlook and that email is a thread, does it only track the emails that are from that point moving forward, or will it pull in previous emails in the thread?
Yeah, good question. And I'll show you what actually gets tracked in our CRM based on me just doing what I just did. Hopefully I'm not messing up the demo environment. So you see it's tracking the whole thread of thing. Tracking that whole thread. It's acting up because I'm actually logged into the demo environment on the other side. It's getting confused between my my production environment, but you see this whole thread that I just tracked, it's everything that happened before that too. And the other thing that it does, even if you don't track it, so this is actually a good example. So I just tracked that one and it's tracked up here, but it's also capturing ones that have happened in the past that maybe I didn't track. So this is a different thread, but it knows about them because Office 365 is the same login for CRM as it is for email. So it knows about it. So this, what I'm looking at, only you can see this email. You see that phrase right there?
Yeah.
So essentially it knows about it and it's saying, do you want other people to be able to see this? So do you want...
You can simply hit track.
Yeah, so I just hit the track button right here. And now when I track that, essentially that email will now be available to everybody else. So at that point, it was just available to me. But it's something that because of the O365 connection, it's saying, hey, I see this email. Do you want to track it? And it'll go in and try and help you pick that up. So really helping you not have to do kind of all, yeah, it really doesn't like that I'm logged in two different places here. I shouldn't have done that. But it's really trying to pick up the idea that that these things are happening and it's recognizing that those things are happening. Sorry about the pop-ups, guys.
And I was telling Jackie.
Question for you, Eric, if you don't mind me jumping in on this. I heard you say something about the link between Office 365 and Dynamics 365. Now, while we have an Office 365 account, we're not using the Exchange platform or Office 365 for email because of the expense, and I decided to go with Google G Suite because $5 a seat versus $12 a seat, that kind of thing, with 50 email boxes. Yep. So will this also play nice and integrate with the Google account, a G Suite account for our domain?
Yeah, so not in the same depth. There is a connection between Gmail and Dynamics, but I'd say kind of the full power of the O365 connection is not available to you in that way. So you can track emails and you can do some basic stuff, but kind of some of these things that I'm showing you, you would lose out on if you're not utilizing the full O365.
Yeah, I figured as much, but then that's, yeah. All right. Well, that is what it is. It's something we'll discuss, and we'll have to see if it would make sense then for me to convert mail back to another platform. But I don't want to incur that expense. We try to do things as cost effective as possible. But
well, that's a shame because it is pretty powerful. But I hear you. And then I'll make mention. I'll make mention that same thing for meetings. So if I want to set a meeting with this individual, I just opened a calendar event. I went through, decided, yep, I'm available at that time. I can track it to this individual just like I did on the other side. And then it'll actually put a meeting in the activities inside of CRM as well. So other people in your organization will know that you're meeting with that individual and maybe they're reaching out about a customer service issue or something like that. They'll have visibility of the idea that, oh, geez, I'm calling this person and Eric's actually already having a meeting with them today. Maybe I should talk to Eric about what he's meeting with them about before reaching out or something like that. So it just gives kind of more transparency, more visibility among your team. So that app is really kind of useful, and it definitely is pretty powerful. So that's kind of the connection between, I haven't showed it, but you can see tasks. directly over here as well. So any tasks that are created in CRM, you can also see those. Wow, that opened another. Wasn't expecting that to open. But here's all these tasks that you see in here. I don't natively use tasks in Outlook. These are all tasks that were created over in my CRM system. So these are being pulled over from the CRM system. So the big things are email tracking, being able to create meetings directly from your calendar in Outlook over into CRM. And then if you follow tasks, if that's a thing that you do inside of Outlook, those translate as well from the app. Make sense?
Yeah.
All right. So we have till 3:30, is that right? All right. So moving into kind of like lead to opportunity tracking, how individuals would track a lead. So Jackie and I, we've been having good conversations. I think she's ready to move forward. So I'm going to qualify her. She's at least interested. So I'm going to qualify her. What's happening right now when I qualify a lead, probably similar to what happens in Sugar, not sure, is it creates an account. So the account name is Jackie Tooney. Wow, almost did it. The contact, Jackie Tooney, and then it also creates an opportunity for propane delivery. So I'm going to call it, I'm going to say this is going to close by the end of the month. Things have been going well. I'm going to say it's about $5,000 in revenue. And I'm going to save that. So now you've got an opportunity. You see here, here's the different stages in that opportunity. These are the out-of-the-box stages. So qualify, develop, propose, close. If you guys have a different process or different steps at those different stages, that's all customizable and configurable to your sales process. This is just the way that it looks out of the box. Make your way through the stages. So now I'm in develop, and there's different things here to fill out inside of develop. Keep moving. I'm in the propose stage now, and when I'm proposing, I want to send final proposal, present the final proposal, decision date, all that. So we went through all our steps. Everything went great. So now I'm going to close this as one. So I closed that. So there might have been a competitor involved. So you might want to put in there what competitor you were competing with. Same thing happens when you lose so if I would close this as lost, the competitor's there as well. So what you can start doing from a marketing perspective is know when you're winning, who you're winning against, know when you're losing, who you're losing against, and really start to track, like, if there's any trends around that. Like you might have a local competitor that you compete pretty fiercely with, and you can start putting reason codes in there about why you're losing and why you're winning, so you can start doing more of the things that cause you to win and less of the things that cause you to lose. That's definitely something that is pretty typical. So I'm going to close this as one. We're moving forward now. So I'm going to go into the account, which is where all the integration happens. So now we have a close one opportunity for $5,000 over here. And you see a bunch, and they're not filled in yet. I'll show you one that's filled in. But all these locked fields, do you see that lock box there? All these fields down here that are locked?
Yeah.
So once you complete...
Those are all Cargus?
You're one step ahead of me. So all of these things, they're things that are created from, since this is a new customer and they're not actually in the database, there's no data there. But that's part of the one-way integration from Energy over to CRM. So all of these fields are locked. You can't edit them. They are just displaying data from Cargus Energy. So your sales team would then only really, are your sales team licensed in Cargus Energy currently?
Yes.
They are. So they would be able to see anything they would want to see about a customer, or a lot of information about a customer, directly from the CRM, and they wouldn't have as much need to go over into Cargus Energy to see data about their customers, because it would live inside of their kind of main sales platform, CRM. So that's part of it. The other thing that we tried to do, I didn't fill out much of the information, but when you create a customer, this create a customer button is actually part of the integration as well. So when I click on that create a customer, what it does is it initiates the new customer creation screen inside of Cargus Energy. And it fills in any information that you've already filled out about the customer. So you see it already auto-filled, Jackie's name, her email address. If you filled out phone number, it would have auto-filled that. I'll pick a division so I can show you the next. Continue to location. If you had filled out the address inside of CRM, it would have auto-filled all that into this form. So the idea is the first step of the integration is when you get a new customer, it takes away all that kind of data entry to take from the CRM system when the salesperson closes a new customer into Cargus Energy. So if they've already filled out all this information, you don't have to rekey all that data. It just comes forward directly into the form. Does that make sense?
One of the things that we use is a customer form that gets emailed to new customers. It has their pricing, it has all their information into it. Mm-hmm. Is there a way to take that form and somehow get it automatically into the system?
Into the CRM system or into Cargus Energy?
Yes, into the CRM system that would then be able to be integrated into Cargus.
So the answer is unequivocally yes for the CRM system. I think it wouldn't be as easy for Cargus Energy, and frankly, I'm not the product expert to answer that question. So we talked earlier about creating forms.
Forms,
for
right.
lead,
and that's what brings me to this.
Yeah, to build like lead forms, it would be the same thing. You would build a form with all that data that you're trying to collect about a new customer, and that would automatically be pulled directly into CRM. Whether or not it could be pulled into Cargus Energy in the same way, another question I'm not sure of. Maybe we can kind of leave that as a question we can follow up on. Very confident about the CRM part of that equation, not as confident about the Cargus Energy side.
And is that form secure? Because some of the information that we require it's a secure PDF that we use. We use a digital sign program. What are those forms secure?
I'm going to take a stab and say I'm pretty sure they can be, but generally the data we're collecting through those forms is not secure in the way that you're describing. There's not a need for security in that way, so we'd have to check on that for you.
Okay, because see, I was looking at the ability to be able to save us some money by removing one of the programs that we use with the digital sign. If it could be accomplished with using a form that could be, sign here, you're putting a statement that by typing your signature, it's, a legal document, and then that information being able to be imported, it might save us some money on the sign program. It's just a thought.
Yeah, we use a tool, and just kind of more for your knowledge, we use a tool called PandaDoc in the similar way for e-signing of documents, and that is embedded inside of CRM. Hold on, I'm going to show you kind of how it sits inside of CRM. So all the contracts for the accounts, it just does not want to interact inside of here.
Seems like you got to get logged out of one of them, Bob.
Yeah, it doesn't like what I'm trying to do. I'm just going to forget. I'm just not going to interact with that screen that pops up. So if I go to the account here, yeah, it's not. Wow. Give me a second. Sorry, this is a diversion. I apologize.
I asked a question out of the box. I'm just looking to be able to save some money while we're spending money.
Yeah, so down here at the bottom, Wow. Nothing's as easy as you want it to be.
No, not when you're trying to show somebody something.
Of course not. So you see right, oh my goodness. You see right here, there's a document,
Yes.
Business Central proposal. That is our proposal tool, and there's e-signing inside of that, and that document actually is built through that proposal tool, and when that customer wants to move forward, they will sign it directly inside of that document. So that is an already integrated, and it just appears you could create a new document directly from CRM. So you could create one of those new customer forms directly from CRM. For us, we have all these templates, so you could have like a new customer form. You know, we have all different kinds of things in there. But then they could e-sign it directly there, and that would, I mean, that is also a third party, probably like your, your signing platform that you're already using. But it might be a replacement that's already embedded that would be more efficient, potentially.
Okay, like I said, I'm just trying to look at areas where we're already spending money that we may be able to save it. Yep.
Yep, no, I'm glad you mentioned that, because when I look at Sign Now right now, Sign Now has the flexibility, scalability to support large enterprise scale implementations. So they support Salesforce, G Suite, Office 365. So I can't see why we can't utilize the same type of signing solution like you have Panda Doc embedded, right? So
yep. What is it called again? Can you take this down?
Sign Now, which was originally developed by Barracuda Networks.
Okay.
It may have been sold off though at this point. So just go to signnow.com.
Yep. Cool. We'll take a look at that offline. We won't spend that time here.
Yeah, sure. Just a food for thought, right?
Absolutely.
Cool. So back on the integration. So we just went and added a new customer. So that's part one. I'm going to go into an account that actually has data inside of Cargus Energy just to show you. It pulls forward the customer number. This is a link. So this is a question you had asked about your CSRs. I'll show it on the other side too. But this is a link to the record for this customer in Cargus Energy. So when I click on that, that's going to open up that customer inside of Cargus Energy. So if your salesperson's licensed and there's something that they're not seeing that they need to or want to see from that customer, they go directly to the account from there. Shows balance information, customer information if they're on hold. Last delivery date to this customer shows up over here. Where the fuel tank is, so you can look at the different tanks that they have on site. All the information about the tanks lives in CRM. So this is all data coming from Cargus Energy, but living inside of the CRM system. So you don't have to go over there. So that's part two. So is that ability to get all of the data that's living over in Cargus Energy, or not all of, a lot of the data from Cargus Energy into the CRM record, so your sales team doesn't have to go back and forth between two different screens. I mentioned it, but you can also, go ahead.
Back on the other screen, I saw that there was an opportunity and then I saw that it closed. Like when our salespeople go out, would additional opportunities show up there? You have test opportunity created. Would you have other opportunities? So like if they just switched to propane for heat and they still have their electric water heater, or you saw that they were, doing something with a generator, all that could be entered in there so that we know that we have additional opportunities with them. And then that can be used for marketing when we decide we're going to do a convert to, a water heater program. And that can then be marketed directly to the people that we have in there with information about an electric water heater.
Yeah, so what you would probably do, and I'm not sure if this has it in here, we use it in our own system, but you put different products of interest inside of CRM. Okay. So you would, and when the salesperson is filling out the opportunity, So they would fill out that they're interested in an electric water heater, and that would be one of the products they have to select. And then across the company, you'd be able to run a report of all of the customers that are interested in the next month, in the next 6 months, in the next 3 months, people who had expressed interest in electric water heaters. And then you could run a campaign against that list.
Awesome.
Yep. Cool. Great. So we're winding down here. We're making good progress, and we're doing the diversion. So we're doing it all. We're doing good. So back to
The second tab. I don't know if you were going back to the
I am.
guy. If you go to the second.
So I was about to mention that I mentioned that you can go to the account record directly from CRM, but you can also open this account record from Cargus Energy and open the CRM record directly here. So that might be your CSRs with a team member license. They want to know, you had mentioned earlier, they want to know what's going on in the sales process, or I see that the salesperson reached out to you on the 22nd. What do you mean you didn't hear anything from them? That kind of thing. They'll be able to see the activity as long as the salesperson's adding that activity. They'll be able to see the activity that the salesperson is doing with that, and be able to validate. Oh yeah, this is the email address we have. This is the phone number we have. That kind of thing. And hopefully, the more you use the CRM, the less you're going to hear from the customers that nobody reached out to me. What do you mean? That kind of thing. But certainly you can do that from here.
So, Mike, about that, so as far as searchability goes, the a customer service representative, they get a call in from Mr. Smith. If they search into Cargus, Mr. Smith, are they going to be able to see that it's an open lead, or will it just show that there's no current active account in Cargus, and vice versa? Are we going to be able to search in the CRM and then
they'd have to go
access?
Good point. Yeah, no, that's a great question and a good point. So only if they're an active customer would you have a record inside of Cargus Energy. So all of this conversation pertaining to the integration is really about the customers that are already customers. If you'd want to search, so if that CSR is a team member and they wanted to know, they got a call, from Joe Smith, because I probably put Joe Smith in here because that's the thing I would do. Nope, didn't. If they wanted to find,
I think I saw Joe Schmo. If you want to try Joe Schmo.
Oh yeah. I don't know how. I definitely did that. So you could find all the leads. There's Joe Schmo. There he is. I love that guy. And basically go directly to it from here. So to your point, that's a really good question. If they are a lead and they're not yet a customer, that would be something that they'd have to check in CRM. So in fact, it might make the most sense for them to search in CRM from the start, because all of the leads will be in CRM as well as all of the customers. So that would be kind of the master data point for all of that. So maybe to help save them some energy, they wouldn't search in Cargus Energy, they'd search in CRM.
Gotcha.
Yep. Great. And the last thing, so the three things that the integration does is it helps you create a new customer inside of Cargus Energy without having to rekey all the data. It pulls forward into the account record all of the data from Cargus Energy so that you don't have to bounce between different systems. If you do have to bounce between systems, it has easy links both on the Cargus Energy side and on the CRM side to access that account and that customer in the respective systems. And then the third thing that it does that I haven't shown you, I'll go back to the accounts here, is there's a Cargus Notes feature, which is the way that you can communicate. Sorry, I'm having a, where is it? Down here. There it is. Sorry. So basically the nice thing, this is the only bi-directional part of the integration, and all that really means is I can create a note from the CRM system. Let's say I was out as a salesperson, I was out at a property and I was interacting with them about propane, but I also noticed that they had made mention of also being interested in servicing their water heater, and maybe that's something you want to communicate to the CSRs. So I create a note here, and I can say, want their electric water heater serviced, and save and close. So when I go into, I'll go back to Cargus Energy now. So you go over to notes. It actually created a note right here, want their electric water heater serviced. So it's passing a note. You could pass it in a way that would create an alert for the CSR that they should interact with that. And similarly, if you want to send a note back to CRM, you just hit this add note screen, pick the CRM note, and say, you know, talk to customer. They want to hear about the new promo we're doing. Expecting a
I
call.
know that the two of the guys that I spoke with were really interested in the dictation.
Ah, yeah. We haven't even talked about the idea that CRM actually has a native app for iOS and Android. We have a video that Brandon can send. I don't know if he did already.
Yeah, I'm checking if I did.
I forwarded I forwarded the video off to Bree, and I believe Des was on that email. That was something that they were tremendously interested in.
Yeah,
Especially Jay, Des.
Yeah, that's great. Yep.
Yeah, so whether they have an iOS or an Android phone. I'm sorry?
Speech to text?
Yep.
Off of the phone?
Yep.
Or? Okay.
That's correct. Yep. So you just open the CRM record, highlight the note screen, and then just use Siri, the microphone, to talk into the notes tab, and it'll just start dictating whatever you're saying, just like you would expect. Yep. So you can do that from this side as long as you select CRM note. That'll show up on the other side. The additional thing, CRM is a little bit more flexible in this way. The additional thing that can happen is when you create notes from Cargus Energy to CRM, you can actually create workflows that do a number of different things. It can create an activity for the salesperson to follow up with that person. It could actually send an email alert to that person saying, hey, you got a new note about this customer, check it out, that kind of thing. So it's actually a little bit more flexible from Cargus Energy to CRM, whereas from CRM to Cargus Energy, it's kind of just an alert and a new note, and there's no workflows that you can create for that side. But it's the communication tool between the two systems without really having to kind of send an email or do all that stuff. You can just communicate systematically through Cargus Energy to CRM or CRM to Cargus Energy. Does that make sense?
When you're sending a note of a client that they want something to be serviced, and it gets sent into CRM, do you have to send it to a specific salesman, or all of them will see it? You can choose which salesmen see it, or do you have to assign it?
Yeah, so it's actually already assigned, or it should be. So by this owner in the top corner. So that's who's going to get the notification. Whoever owns that account is the one that's going to receive the notification.
Is there any way to do multiple owners, or only one owner per account?
There are ways, and you could actually decide. So you have this happen a lot. This probably isn't relevant to your business, but it's relevant to ours. You'll have a salesperson, you'll have an account manager. You might have multiple account managers. So you might have the account manager in the energy business unit, and you might have the account manager in our business unit who needs to know about things. So you could set up an alert that goes to the salesperson and both account managers. So this is an example of an owner, but it could also be that the workflow notifies any account manager, any salesperson that's tagged to that account. Or more. I mean, what would you want it to do? What was the, maybe I'm
well, I mean,
projecting what I
for a
think.
week, but it seems like our salesmen do more like territory than individual ownership of residential people, from what I'm gathering. So if a new, you know, an existing customer calls in to get something serviced or upgraded, it's not necessarily the salesman that has been there previously that will go. I'm not sure exactly, you know, that's my view. I don't know if that's accurate. You, Des or Jackie, you can tell me if that's accurate or not. Like, is each residential person, is there someone attached, our salesman attached to that person, or?
Typically, yes. We're going to want to marry up a salesman to the potential lead and so forth to see it all the way through. But there are times where things will shift around based off of the availability of the salesman. Am I correct, Jackie?
Yeah, and we have a decent amount of overlap in Orange County and then getting over to parts of Sussex County. So we do have overlap with salesmen as to the fact of whoever's available. So like Pete and Moose share Orange County, but Paul Checker is into Warwick. Yeah, you know.
Right. But they're still delineated to each salesman, each lead, right? To have one person see it through, unless there's an issue where that salesman couldn't handle that, whether they're on vacation or whatever the situation may be, and then you spin it off to somebody else to close it, right?
Well,
Yeah.
it's more like the process, like when we send a lead email, they let us know who's taking it.
Who's
You know,
taking it?
So we send the
Oh,
note
okay.
first, so then
You're
they
sending it out to
respond.
all of them, and they're deciding who wants it.
Exactly.
That pretty much is it. So like in Orange County, let's say something comes up in Goshen, it would go to both Pete and Moose, and they would tell you who's taking it. So maybe it's a
Okay.
little internal system change that we need to make.
I'm going to say this may present the opportunity to kind of divvy it out in an even slate, right? So if you got it by territory and then you see what's currently open per each salesman, I would think that moving forward, we have the opportunity now to kind of then say, okay, this salesman's going to get this next lead based off of what you see here on the CRM dashboard. He's already got 3 open leads that he's trying to see through. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that's something we got to talk about internally.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. It's a sidebar conversation. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Check it out, guys. High five.
There it is. Yep, that's beautiful.
That's awesome.
So it does integrate.
So that's cool. So anyway, it's just, I stumbled on that and I thought you'd care.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Where were we at? Oh, so we were just talking about the notes, and actually, even if you guys don't change process, but you're right, when you're implementing a system, it's an opportunity to think about the processes that you do have. But even if you don't change, there's probably a solution that we could figure out in the implementation that would take advantage of the technology without making you have to change things. But it's also, could be a good time to think about the processes that you have as well.
Maybe like an option, Eric, is like an accept decline, right? So if you were to spin it to 2 separate salesmen, opportunity in Orange County, one accepts, one declines it kind of thing, or whoever accepts it first owns it, that sort of a process?
Yeah, and then on the other side, that's possible, maybe definitely through Flow. There's like approval processes. Microsoft Flow would allow you to do something like that. And then on the kind of new lead side, you could actually directly assign based on zip codes or areas from that lead form that we talked about. So both ways, current customers have some sort of approval flow, and then from the lead form, you might do some sort of kind of auto assign based on where that person resides.
Okay, cool.
So guys, that's actually, I think a majority of what we wanted to cover, and we're kind of at our end here. Was that like a good starting place to kind of understand what not only the integration does, but also what Dynamics might bring to you?
No, it sure does, Eric. It's definitely a very powerful tool. I could see it being a great fit for us, but I'm still just a little leery on, where we have the additional cost, and then, how this will be taken with the team, you know what I mean? And how far will they see it all through and utilize it, So there's some discussions we got to have that I'm going to bring Michael involved in, to make this decision, and then also kind of, if we do something like this, we want to make it mandated that these are the tools that are going to be used, from start to finish for all team members. So we're all on the same page, and have some accountability to that. So.
And what is Michael's role within your organization?
Mike is the head cheese. He's the owner of the company.
Okay. So typically, and I had told Jackie this as part of our sales process, after the demo, before we deliver a proposal, we go through an estimate call. So Eric and I meet with one of our CRM consultants. We put together, based on everything we've learned with you guys, what a potential scope of work would look like for implementation, and also how much the licensing investment would be. And then we get on a call with all of the decision makers within an organization and say, hey, here's what the cost could look like for a phase 1 project. Is this kind of along the lines of what you were thinking or not? And it really gives you the opportunity to kind of voice your opinions and say, you know what, maybe we only want to do this part of it for phase 1. And that way that when we get to the proposal, you guys know exactly what's going to be in there, and you're not going to be blindsided by anything. So our next step, Eric and I, would be to meet with one of our consultants, put together that estimate, and then reach back out to you guys to have an estimate call. But I'm thinking that Mike might be a good person to have on that call as well, if you guys think it would be beneficial.
Yeah, no, that sounds like a good plan, Eric, for sure.
Cool. All right. Well, sounds good. We will meet with one of the consultants, start putting together that estimate. But if you guys have any questions, just kind of rewinding after the demo, don't hesitate to ask. And again, Eric did record this, so we can send you that recording then if you guys want to kind of just look over things again.
Oh, that'd be great, Eric, for sure. And I'll pass this on to Michael as well, who maybe I'll have time to look at the demo. We can look it over together, get his opinion on it as well. So this is great.
Sure.
Really
Cool.
appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, thank you so much. And hope to see you in a couple weeks here.
Yes, definitely, man. I'll have to seek you guys out when we get there.
Sounds
All
good.
right, you guys have a good day, all right? Take care.
Yep,
Have a great
you too.
weekend, everybody.
You too.
You
Yep,
too.
thank
Bye.
you.
Bye-bye.